I wanted to tell you that I started the fast the next day that we talk, and sugar in the evenings have gone from 400 and something to 291.
Oh,
And,
perfect.
and the sugar in the morning has gone from 98 to 87.
Yay.
Good job. Yeah. When are you going to be able to talk to the doctors again? Because we need to look at the insulin levels. If you're going to continue doing this on a routine basis, we could run into problems with the insulin, bringing your blood sugar levels down too low. So we need to talk to a doctor and tell them what we're doing so they can readjust the medication for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask her what my A1C was, because I had test about 2 months ago and they didn't give me the results. So I will call and see, because right now there are breaks of coronavirus at the clinics that I go. Everybody goes to test there and all the consultations have been moved to February. So I probably won't be able to see the doctor, but I probably can talk to her on the phone and ask some questions on the phone.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to talk to me about that, we can go over some things and you can ask her specific questions to get a better diagnosis off you, so we know what strategies to use or what direction to go with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh. All right. So I'm glad that you're doing a fasting. How long are you fasting for? Are you doing a 12-hour fasting or what?
From 7:30 to 11 or 12.
So you're doing a 16-hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're okay? You didn't feel dizzy? You didn't feel faint or anything?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
I did change the insulin from what I was putting. I put less, and I put like 100 units less. And I haven't had this week, since we talked, probably about 1 low sugar in the evening.
Perfect. That's good news.
Oh.
Glad we're starting to get on the path of being able to heal you, make you feel better. That's great. Good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's what I want to talk about today is fasting. And we've talked about this many times and we'll be talking about it many times after this. But today what I want to do is I want to show you a graph when Jovi's ready. And there's different types of fasting. You can do a 12 hours of fasting, 12-hour window where you can eat. You can do a 16-hour of fasting with an 8-hour window to eat. You could do a 24-hour fast. You could do a 36-hour. So all these different times do different things for your body. The thing with the diabetes is every time you eat, insulin goes up. And when insulin goes up, or every time you eat, blood sugar goes up, which makes your insulin level go up. So diabetes is really an insulin problem. Glucose is a symptom, just like when we were talking with Letty about the symptoms of COVID, having the hard time breathing, not being able to taste or smell. Those are just symptoms. High blood sugar is just a symptom of your disease. The real problem is insulin. So we need to get to the insulin and solve that problem. And you do that through the fasting, and you do that through the type of foods that you eat and the timing of everything. So when you look at this, the first line that I want to look at is the very thick black line that starts up at the top on the left-hand side where it says 1.0, and it comes down at a very steep slope down to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And then it does 12 hours down there. That's a glycogen. Okay, what glycogen is our body uses different forms of energy. Everybody knows that your body uses glucose. All you guys know about that. But your body also uses ketones. With that, you'll see it at the top or right-hand corner. It says ketones with the 6 by there. So that is a byproduct of fat. Your body also uses glycogen. So glycogen isn't on this graph. I have glycogen on a different graph. So what glycogen is inside your liver. When your food is digesting and all your cells are full of energy and they don't need anymore, they can't take anymore, the extra carbohydrates that you ate that are not going into the cells at the time, your liver converts into a thing called glycogen. So glycogen is just a scientific term that means stored carbohydrates. And it's like a reserve tank. So it's sort of like back in the 90s, they had a Dewey truck, and it had a regular tank, gas tank, and then it had a reserve gas tank. So when the primary gas tank ran out of gas, it automatically switched to the reserve tank for the gas. So it's the same thing with your body. Your glucose is the main gas tank, and then your glycogen tank in your liver and in your muscle tissue is the reserve. So your body starts using that. But it goes through all these biochemical processes I don't want to bore you with. That's all science. So I just want to go over how this all works. So when you eat, in a normal person that doesn't have diabetes or any insulin resistant problems, it usually takes about 3.5 hours for your insulin levels to go back down to normal, to baseline. People that have insulin resistance, it could take them up to 48 hours to get back down to baseline. So that those kind of people will have to fast for a much longer period of time. But I don't want to, that's very extreme. That's very hard to do, especially right out of the gate. So that's why I ask everybody to try to start off at a 16-hour window, because you get all these health benefits from at the 16-hour. And then those health benefits just prolong as time goes on with the 48 hours, if that makes sense. So what happens is your body goes through the insulin, and it goes through the glucose. The glucose goes into the cells, and as time goes on, you're using for your heart to beat, for blood to flow, for your brain to function. Even if you're not moving, all these things, all your organs are working to keep you alive. Your respiratory system, your digestive system, sex system, immune system, everything needs calories. So your body is always burning calories. It's always burning energy, whether it be from glucose, glycogen, or ketones. But what happens is when the glucose is depleting from the cells, those cells need to be replenished with more glucose. So your body creates, everybody knows what insulin is. There's counter-regulatory hormones that counteract what insulin does. So insulin brings your blood glucose levels down, and counter-regulatories like glucagon, which is the blue line at the top on this graph, that hormone makes your glucose levels go up. So as the where's my glucose? As the red line starts going down, your glucagon, the blue line, goes up. Those are inverse of each other. So when glucose goes down, glucagon goes up. And when glucagon goes up, then glucose goes down. Does that make sense? Now, the longer you go, 12 hours is the minimum that you should do a fast, because there really isn't much of a benefit before the 12 hours, because your glycogen, that thick black line that's coming down to the bottom from the top, because the glycogen still isn't depleted, you're still burning sugar. We're trying to get you to burn fat. So we need to get you out of the glucose burning into a fat burning stage. So we need to go at least 12 hours. Can you shut everybody off, please? So as the glycogen levels start depleting, your body has to get energy from somewhere. So now it goes into the fat cells and starts using energy, but it takes time because the glycogen can hold up to 100 grams, which is 400 calories. So you have to burn through those 400 calories before your body needs energy from somewhere else. So when that happens at the 12-hour mark, then your body starts taking fuel from your fat cells, which is what we need, because that's where the problem is with the insulin resistance, is that your pancreas has too much fat in it. Your liver has too much fat in it. So we need to get the fat out of there. So we need to, the longer you go with fasting, the more fat that you'll be burning. So your body takes the fat out of the fat cell, brings it to the liver, and it converts it back into glucose, which will bring up your blood glucose levels, which will bring up your insulin levels also. So this is the continuous thing that your body does to keep you in energy balance. It's called energy homeostasis. So to keep you in energy balance, your energy level dips down sometimes. And this is what one of the members from the group was worried about, being at 70 with her blood sugar levels. Blood sugar levels go down, then glucagon, that blue line, that kicks it back up again. But it takes a little bit of time. So you might feel hunger pains. You might feel maybe a little lethargic. You might feel a little dizzy. You might have a little vertigo during this time. But the process goes around to where the glucose levels come back up again, because it takes a little time for your body to convert the fat into glucose. It has to go through the liver. It has to go through this whole process of that happening. It takes a little bit of time. So it usually takes maybe about 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, somewhere around there, where you start feeling back to normal again. So unless your blood sugar level dips down to like the 50s or low 60s, I wouldn't worry too. I would keep my eye on it, but I would just wait and see what your body goes through with the process, and then recheck maybe about a half hour later. But it should be back up to normal. If it's not, then you need to take, I would suggest taking a glucose tab or a glass of orange juice, a little bit, like a quarter of a glass of orange juice, or something with a little bit of sugar. But you don't want to overdo it, because then you have to start adding more insulin to bring the glucose levels back down again. And then you'll be in this pattern of feeding the disease, which we don't want to do. So we just want to take small increments of it, of bringing your glucose levels back up. Okay, so Joby, if you want to put us back on regular screen again, please. So hopefully I didn't confuse you guys. Hopefully this is a little bit more understanding of why I ask you to do the fasting and why I ask you to do certain time limits with the fasting, so that your body can start burning the fat that you need to burn and keep those insulin levels down low. So the longer you can keep your insulin levels down low, the healthier it's going to be for you. At a certain point, of course, if the insulin levels go down to 60 or whatever, you don't want that either. So let's keep it in a normal range, okay? So it's continual pricking yourself sometimes for some people. Danny has a machine. He doesn't have to prick himself very much anymore, because the machine is continual, so he knows where he's at all times. So for the people that are pre-diabetic, they're like a 6.1 or a 6.4 on the A1C. This is your chance of not having to worry about diabetes, of being able to take these strategies and start using them to get you back into a normal range before you have to start pricking yourself and taking medications and all these things that diabetics unfortunately have to go through. And for the people who are at 400 and brought it down to in the 200s, that's great. That's you're half that amount. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, well, it's not actually a question, but since you didn't